clear. Leave the block clear.
It's dramatic video. A large GMC truck trying to run the blockade on the Halalt First Nation near Shebeeb. A woman who had been chopping wood, wielding an axe, tries to stop the truck. But the truck keeps going. She's pushed backwards, but she still holds up the axe until finally people watching scream.
Get out of the way, Suzanne. Get out of the way.
She does. The truck runs over the blockade stop sign and speeds off, dragging a large round of wood with it and spilling oil all over the road.
It was shocking. Everyone was shook up, and it was very dangerous. And he had his engine rev right up, and I thought he was going to flatten her.
Witnesses say this violent clash started after the young men in the truck sped through another barricade up the road.
They smashed through that barricade up there, and, you know, there's kids flying around here, too. So then they came down, and we were able to stop them here. All kinds of racist slurs to our First Nations people.
As terrifying as this incident on Sunday was, it's apparently not the first sign of trouble at the blockade.
I've witnessed three separate incidences since I've been here. One guy is on crutches from a car hitting him.
This blockade is now well into its second week. Band members and volunteers have been out here around the clock to keep the road blocked and to peacefully protest. But now, with tensions rising, many fear any resolution to this dispute will be even more difficult. The dispute centers around this water supply project and First Nation claims to an aquifer that the District of North Cowichan wants to tap into. Band leaders are concerned about the environmental impact of the $6.5 million project.
It's about protecting our resources, our fish in the river, the water table levels.
Hey, hey, hey!
As for this violent blockade run, RCMP are now investigating. They're concerned weapons and rising tensions could make for an even more volatile situation.
First Nation says an incident at a road blockade outside its administration office over the weekend was a hoax, a put-on that was pulled off by a group of non-First Nations protesters. Now, this may not have come out had it not been for one of the protesters catching the incident on tape and having that footage played on television across BC. The RCMP says today that those responsible for the allegedly staged video could face charges of mischief. News reporter Brent Shearer was back at the Halalt First Nations blockade today. He has the latest from our Mid-Island Bureau. Brent.
Lutslin, the Halalt First Nation says on Sunday a group of people who are not band members joined the road blockade that's been happening on Shebeeb Road for nearly 2 weeks now. And that protest has been peaceful, but the Halalts say that changed when the out-of-town demonstrators staged an incident aimed at generating media attention.
Vehicles approaching a road blockade in front of the Halalt First Nation Administration Office are still being turned around nearly 2 weeks after the protest over a nearby water project began. But 2 days ago, the scene turned ugly when a motorist decided not to turn around and the incident was caught on camera. The tape shows a white truck slowing down as it approaches the blockade. A woman tries to stop the vehicle from going any further, but the truck charges through. The Halalt First Nation believes the whole incident was staged.
I believe that it could be. I mean, anything to manipulate the media and maybe heighten tensions here.
The person shooting the video was not a member of the mainstream media or the Halalt First Nation, but a self-described freelancer and political activist reported to be David Shebeeb. The Halalt First Nation also says the others in the video, one of whom was wielding an axe, were from out of town and up until Sunday had nothing to do with the protest.
Non-band member with the camera, non-band member with the axe, non-band member with the log that was wedged underneath the 4x4, and they do not represent Halalt in any way. We maintain a peaceful protest, and we've asked these people to please leave.
The police have been monitoring the blockade closely and say the incident on Sunday is the only time they've heard of violence since the protest began.
Well, right now we're investigating it because now it looks to be a setup. It appears that somebody came there with a video camera, knowing the people involved, and as a result, videotaped this, and it was a hoax to get the media involved more in the protest.
The Halalt First Nation says from the beginning the out-of-town protesters were looking for ways to generate media coverage, and the incident with the truck was over the top.
Completely unexpected and completely unwarranted. These same people were making suggestions that we march up the highway, and we're suggesting that we're maintaining a peaceful protest.
And while some drivers have vented their frustrations at having to take a detour around the blockade, both the police and Halalt First Nation say the vast majority of people have been taking the whole situation in stride.
Unfortunately, what gets lost in all of these shenanigans is why the road blockade is there to begin with. The Halalt First Nation is protesting a project that taps into the aquifer beneath their land. That project is meant to provide the town of Shebeeb with a reliable supply of drinking water. Now, the project is underway right now, and the Halalt want it stopped immediately. They also want more control over how the resources on their traditional territory are used in the future. Hudson?
But the protest has been peaceful.
It has been, yes.
Despite the staging. Brent Shearer reporting. Brent, thank you.
Thank you.